I don't remember being really specific in prayer in my other pregnancies, and this time I got really, really specific and really bold and prayed for the things that I wanted to happen and the things I wanted to be different. And so many of them came true. It was amazing.
Hi, I'm Kayla Heater, follower of Jesus, wife and mother of 5 children, Christian childbirth educator and doula, and your host of the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, where we share God centered birth stories, evidence based birth education, and our pursuit of surrendering our birth plans to God. Let's get started. Hey everyone, and I hope you are having a wonderful week. I just got back from teaching childbirth class. It was our 4th session on postpartum. Super, super important session, if not the most important session, because postpartum lasts way longer than the birth. Speaking of the class, my husband is just days away from finishing full editing production on the online version of the class. So if you have been waiting for the online version to come out, we are getting closer and closer and closer. I just have to do a couple more things on the back end. I hesitate to give an exact launch date at this moment because I don't want to give any kind of false promise, but it will definitely be coming out in May for sure, sometime in the month of May, hopefully closer to the middle of May. So if that is you and you've been waiting for the online version of the class, we are almost there. If I don't already know that you want to take it, please reach out and let me know. Remember, the first 10 people to reach out and sign up for the class are getting a 50% discount. So that's pretty big, big discount there. So please reach out and let me know. Also, to be completely transparent, I was trying to read a review for April, but I don't have any reviews for April. No one has left a review this whole month, which makes me a little sad. But here's my request. Please, somebody out there, if you haven't left a review for this show yet, it's so easy to do on Apple Podcasts. Scroll down when you're watching the episode on the show page and just click write a review. It's as simple as that. It takes almost no time at all and would really, really help this podcast and just encourage my husband and I and everyone else who is listening along each week. Okay, let's get into this week's episode. Sometimes when it comes to receiving the desires of our heart, all we need to do is ask God. Lauren learned this beautiful lesson in her most recent birth of her 5th child. Even though the pregnancy was a surprise, it made it all the more special, and she was able to remain grateful throughout each and every part of the experience, down to still being pregnant at 42 weeks. Listen in as she shares the sweet birth story of her little boy, Shepherd. Welcome to another episode of Surrendered Birth Stories. I am your host, Kayla Heater, and I have Lauren Thomas with me today, back with me, actually. Lauren has been on a couple of episodes. There was an episode back, I think that was also in season 1, where we shared about the importance of community, and you and I had a conversation about that. And then Lauren shared her first 4 birth stories on episode 5 back in like the launch, the launch of the podcast. So in September of 23. So if you go all the way back, you can listen to Lauren's first 4 birth stories, but today she's going to be sharing her 5th birth story. Surprise, which we're all so excited about. So Lauren, for those who aren't going to go back and listen to that episode right this minute, take a minute to introduce yourself and tell us about you and your life.
Okay. I am Lauren Thomas. I am a retired for now doula and birth photographer. This is Shepherd with me, so you may hear his voice.
The newest addition is here with us.
Yeah, I used to be a birth worker. I'm not really doing that now. I stay home with my 5 kids and we homeschool. And as far as my birth stories go, I had my first, he was a birth center to hospital transfer, epidural, all the things. And then I've had 4 home births since then. And he's the latest one.
Hi. He's so smiley though.
He is happy. He's just vocal right now.
At least he's the happy vocal and not a sad vocal.
He is.
Well, let's dive into this story because if anyone listened to Lauren's first 4 birth stories, you may have assumed that she was done having children.
As did I.
So take us back, Lauren. How did this all happen?
Well, yeah, that's really the only place I can start this story is, let's see, back in 2024, I had my 4 babies, 3 boys and 1 girl. And me and my husband had always talked about having 4. That was always our number. We both felt like that was a good number. And so once that time came that we had our 4th, it was kind of like unspoken, like, we're done. That was our number. And my husband felt really done. And I was kind of waiting for that feeling of feeling done. And it just never came, as I feel like a lot of moms have figured out, like that feeling may not come for you. But I was trying to kind of just process it and like kind of grieve that chapter of my life being over and move forward. And told a lot of people we were done, shared a lot on social media about being done. I was putting the newborn clothes away and putting the pack and play away and all the things. And we were actually looking at moving. So we had lived in the triad of North Carolina and we were looking to move back to where we're both from in the triangle in Raleigh. And we were looking at houses and we were just really busy. It wasn't even real. I mean, it was somewhat on my mind, but not really on my mind. Having another baby at the time, we had found a fixer-upper house. We were really excited about it, and just it was a busy time. A lot was going on, and I remember the house we were looking at, the fixer-upper house, felt like this dream. It was on 5 acres. We had a pasture. We were going to have a cow. We had all these big plans, and we realized we weren't going to be able to afford it, and we had to walk away. And so that fell through. And the very next day, I took a pregnancy test and found out that we had a different dream that was going to be happening.
Did you and your husband know there was any possibility of being able to get pregnant, or was it like a complete and total shock?
We did know. We thought it was unlikely. I don't want to get into too much detail, but we knew it was possible. And I'm just like an over tester. Like if there's a doubt in my mind, I'm going to test that month and I'm probably going to test 4 times. And that's just how I am. So I can't remember if I had actually missed my period or not yet, but we knew it was a possibility. So I took the test. I don't think I told him I was testing. I just went upstairs and did it and just came down with the test. And I mean, at that point, 5th baby, he's just like, okay, here we go. He wasn't
Here we go
upset.
again.
He wasn't, but it was just like, all right, we're doing it. We're having a fit. So like I said, I'm an over tester. So I took like 5 or 6 tests and the lines over that week were like not getting darker. And so I had a brief moment where I was nervous that it was a chemical pregnancy or, it wasn't going to last. And that was like actually a really hard week. I was really upset and I was talking to Vaughn a lot about like, well, I knew the only way we'd have another baby is if it was a surprise. And now if this, doesn't work out, then we're not like you're going to want to be more careful and we're not going to end up having a surprise pregnancy and all, just completely overthinking the whole thing. And we had a lot of actually really good conversations that week where Vaughn actually, we ended up being like, if this is a chemical pregnancy, like we actually want to start trying for a baby. So we actually both, it was a blessing because we both ended up deciding, oh, we actually do want more. Even though he had felt really content before, it was just cool the way that sort of was orchestrated and worked out. And it was fine. I don't know why the lines weren't getting darker, but he's here and the pregnancy was healthy and all was well. But it's just funny looking back how that kind of turned into what it did. So that was kind of cool too. But yeah, so we were both just shocked and excited. And I don't keep the news to myself for very long. So well, not in real life. I told all my friends in real life, but we actually decided not to tell anybody online. So that was also really fun. We kept it a secret from social media. So that was kind of new for me and like just a fun little secret to have just with my like people in real life. It felt really special. So
I
yeah.
didn't realize that you did that until you posted that he was born and said that, like, "Hey, surprise." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I never realized that she never actually posted about it." But then
Yeah.
that was really cool. I'm like, "Wow, kudos to you for being able to hide it for that long."
It got hard, especially at the end. It got really hard, but it was really fun. It was really fun to announce the whole thing, and people were shocked, and it was really fun. So,
That is really cool. So, you said you had a healthy pregnancy, which is great and wonderful. We know you had another home birth, but I know that you ended up moving during that time.
yes. So, within that same month after finding out, we ended up finding this house that we moved to. So, that kind of threw a whole different situation into the mix. I had to find a new midwife. Definitely wanted to have a home birth, but love and adore my midwife that is in the triad. Which, if you don't live in North Carolina, we moved like 2 hours east. So there was, I guess, the option to use my midwife out there, but it would have been a lot of driving back and forth for prenatal visits. And I would have been nervous she wouldn't have made it to my birth because I do have pretty quick labors. So we ended up deciding to hire somebody out this way who actually lives 15 minutes from me. She's very sweet, lots of experience. It ended up being great. It was different going from a midwife you know really, really well to someone that you're just meeting in that pregnancy. So that was definitely different. And I texted my midwife in the triad a lot still with just like questions and things like that. But it was good. We had a really great team. I had my best friend who I've known since high school, lives here, and she was able to be my doula. And then I had another friend from high school who was my birth photographer, and she was wonderful. She was also having her fifth baby at the time, pregnant with her fifth baby. So that was fun. And yeah, and my midwife was great. And I mean, you'll hear once I start telling the story, it just worked out like so perfectly. And the timing was wonderful. And it was like a dream birth. It was amazing.
Well, great. Let's hear about the dream birth then.
Okay, let's do
So
it.
let's start with gestationally. How far
Mhm.
along were you
That was
when
the
you
fun part.
finally went into labor?
Yeah, so I've always gone past my due date, ranging from like a day past to 2 weeks past. But this one was my longest. I went technically, I was 42 and one when he was born. He was born at like 4 in the morning. So I was like 42 weeks in a few hours. But, I had some hard moments. I definitely had some tears, like, where's my baby? We didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, and I was dying to know. But honestly, overall, I was just like soaking it in because this was a pregnancy I genuinely didn't think I was going to get to have. And I think that just made all the difference. And just in general, I feel like something that the Lord was teaching me and reminding me of throughout my pregnancy was just about contentment and gratitude. And I was so thankful to be having another baby, and that spilled over into my birth, and that spilled over into my going past my due date. And like, I mean, mentally, that's so hard. But I really I loved it. I loved being pregnant. I loved the excitement, the anticipation all around you. Everybody wants to like talk to you about your baby. Yeah, I had even joked during my pregnancy that I probably would go really far because I wasn't ready for it to be over. So I wasn't really surprised. And the timing of it, like as much as you're like, oh, I want to meet my baby today, like right now, the timing of it was so perfect. My mom got to be here. She lives in New Hampshire and she was visiting for right after Thanksgiving. And so she got to be here for the birth, which she's never been able to see any of her grandbabies be born. So that was amazing. I got to go like out to dinner for my sister's birthday the day 2 days before he was born, and just little things like that where like you can see in hindsight how the timing was so perfect. So yeah, so finally at 42 weeks on the dot, which I also want to mention this, I had hired a lay midwife. So if you're not in North Carolina, the laws here are frustrating to say the least. If you hire a nurse midwife, which are the only ones who are recognized here in North Carolina, they cannot legally attend a home birth if the mom is past 42 weeks. So if I had hired a nurse midwife, we would have been talking induction, we would have been talking like them having to drop care and all these things. But thankfully, I'm so grateful that I found a lay midwife who, like, literally, we never had one conversation about inducing naturally or otherwise. And it was just like everyone was just trusting the process. It was so great because right on the mark at 42 weeks, labor started that night at bedtime with my kid. So I was putting my daughter to sleep. I was rocking her to sleep in her room. She was sitting on top of my bump, and it was like 8:30 at night, and I started to feel just like really mild contractions. And it's funny because every other labor, I've been in denial for so long about the contractions. And this time I was like determined to not be in denial. I've had my birth photographer has missed it for two of my births. Like I never get people there on time, and I was determined to do it this time. And so as soon as I felt anything, I texted everybody. And I said, I didn't call my midwife. I didn't ask her to come yet, but I asked my best friend to come, my doula and my birth photographer. And I was like, do you guys mind just coming to hang out? I think things are starting, but maybe not. And it was funny because I kept saying, I'm so sorry if this is false labor. And they're like, you're 42 weeks pregnant. This is not false labor. I really don't think it's false labor. I hadn't had any prodromal labor or anything. I'd had some Braxton Hicks, but like nothing really. And so when things started being like timeable and stuff, it was kind of like, okay, we're pretty sure this is it. So yeah, we got all the kids to bed, which again, I wasn't surprised. I guess I should back up a little bit. I had done a lot of like visualization work this time, which
Mhm.
was really, really fascinating to me. And it's so cool how many of the things that I visualized and prayed for actually came true in this birth, like down to like the time of day and stuff like that. It was really, really cool. So I had taken an online birth course, and one of the things she talked about a lot was visualization and inviting the Holy Spirit into that. And so I spent a lot of time, I did a lot of like, I would take showers and spend the whole time praying and visualizing my birth. And I have no I don't think I like, thinking back, I don't think I had ever done that in any of my pregnancies before. I had never actually taken the time to ask for the things that I wanted and pray about the things I was afraid of. I mean, I think I did maybe in a vague way, but I don't remember being really specific in prayer in my other pregnancies, and this time I got really, really specific and really bold and prayed for the things that I wanted to happen and the things I wanted to be different. And so many of them came true. It was amazing. And I think that the Lord was trying to show me, because I feel like you hear this, but I learned this like through this experience, that He wants us to come to Him with our desires and our hopes. And it's like, you hear, oh, God knows the desires of your heart. And of course He does, but I think He wants us to talk to Him about them too. And so I kind of learned that this time, like, He wants me to come to Him and ask Him and say, I really want a water birth. I really want, my whole birth team to be here. I really want this to not be a super quick, chaotic birth, like even like down to the tiniest details. And so, yeah, I just spent a lot of time doing that this time. And it was just really cool to see a lot of that like come true. So, and another thing that I had this time was the Christian Hypnobirthing app. I had that playing in the background. They have a track on there that's like scriptures, and it's just like a woman's voice speaking scriptures. And it was like just so cool to have that like filling the room during like my early labor, especially. So yeah, we turned that on. Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm skipping over. We watched Friends first.
Of
I always
course you
watch
did.
Friends at the beginning of my labors.
Okay, which episode was it?
Oh, gracious, that's a good question. I don't think I
The one
remember.
with
Yeah, the one was something. I'll get back to you on that one. Vaughn maybe would remember. But yeah, we watched that. My mom was asleep on the couch. We brought the laptop in the bedroom. I got on my birth ball. We were watching Friends. Um, and my doula and my birth photographer were kind of coming in and showing up and
and what
like,
time was that?
yeah, I'm trying to think. I think they both arrived around 10:30.
Okay, so like a couple hours after you feel like things started.
Yeah, and things were timeable, but still, like, definitely still having conversations, like, I had a decent early labor this time, which was another thing that I haven't had in a while. I usually go, like, kinda straight into active labor or, like, transition,
Yeah.
skip over that whole early labor part, and that was a little bit of a mind game for me. I kept being like, "What do I do?" You know, because early
What do
labor
I
is
do?
like
Usually I've had my baby by now.
right, like, I'm not familiar with this situation. Like, I think you can get in your head a lot in early labor because there's so much like downtime. Like you have a contraction and then you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes between contractions. And I'm like, what do I do? We were just kind of chatting and talking. I tried to rest, but I didn't love laying down. It was sweet. It was a sweet time. Vaughn and I spent some time together. My best friend, who I've known for 20 years, was here. And so we got to kind of chat and we both ended up like crying, talking about how thankful we are to have each other. And, you know, it got like really emotional and sweet. And it was really special. So, yeah, so we watched Friends, we listened to the hypnobirthing apps. We were waiting to fill up the tub. We had the tub inflated in the corner of my bedroom. We were waiting to fill it up because we don't want to fill it up too soon, but we want to get the timing right, don't want to wait too long. So Vaughn, my husband, and my friend talked me into trying the shower because I was like, I need to do something. I love water and labor. They're like, let's try the shower. Maybe don't fill up the tub yet. As soon as I got in the shower, I was like, no, this is just second best to the tub. Like, I just want to get in the tub. Forget it. I don't want to waste the hot water. Turn the shower off. Like, and it's like something about just like water hitting my body, like starts labor for me, like moves it into active. And as soon as I got out of the shower, I was like starting to vocalize. I was calling my midwife back saying, just kidding, you might need to come soon. And so we started filling up the tub at that point, and thankfully got it all full. I think we used all the hot water and then we used a lot of boiling water and we got it filled up pretty quickly, full of hot water. So I was really excited about that. I've never gotten into or I've never had a baby in
The
one of the
water.
actual like birth pools. I had
Oh,
my
right. You had your last one in the bathtub.
bathtub, yeah. But so that was really exciting. Yeah, so I called my midwife and like just gave her an update. It was probably about 2 in the morning at this point. So yeah, my early labor was a lot longer than expected.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was really sweet. That was one of the things I prayed for. I didn't want a super fast labor, but things were picking up. I was starting to vocalize. I was back on the birth ball. They were filling the pool up. Yeah, it was great. It was like all coming together. Eventually, I think around 3 o'clock, the tub was full. I was ready to get in. And it was like we woke my mom up and my two big boys, my oldest, they're 9 and 6 at the time, woke them up. I got in the pool and my midwife arrived like all within like 5 or 10 minutes of each other. And it was like, oh my gosh, like things are happening. Like the midwife's here, like that feeling when she walks in the door, you're like, oh, this is it. Like she's here. It's gonna happen. Like this is not that I was questioning it, but it just felt like there's just like the adrenaline, like the excitement. So I was in the water. Vaughn was like kind of like I was like leaning on him over the side of the pool. I remember screaming sometimes and whispering sometimes. I was saying the words, thank you, Jesus, over and over. Because, like I said, gratitude had just kind of like been the theme of this pregnancy, and it really just spilled over into my birth, and it was really sweet. I could hear my friends praying over me. Um, and I remember trying to push. Okay, so we're at 3 o'clock. Probably about 3:20, I'm starting to like things are really intense. I'm yelling loud. My oldest is getting really emotional. Like we prepped them for this, but I think it was a lot. So he's getting emotional. My mom has never really seen a birth other than her own, so I think it was a lot for her to see me like yelling. Um, but it was intense, and I was trying to, like, push before I was ready. Like, I was like, "No, it's like, I'm done. Like, it's time to get baby here. We're gonna just push the baby out." That's what I thought I was gonna do, just push the baby out. Obviously, that did not work. And then I do remember reaching down and trying to, like, feel baby's head or see if I could feel it, and I couldn't feel anything. And I was getting really frustrated, like, why is the baby not further down? Why am I not feeling that urge to push? Like, what's the hold up? Why is this not happening yet? And of course, this feels like such a long time. But when you look back at the timestamps of all of this is like probably like a 20-minute period total.
Mhm.
So I think it was like 3:41. I think it was 3:41. My water broke. I felt my water break. I felt the baby like rotate and coming down, and then his head came out. And within like a minute, I pushed out his whole body. And my midwife never, like, I don't even think my midwife said a word. Like she checked his heart rate when she first arrived. And that may have been like all she did, which
Mhm.
I love. It's like the best. She just kind of sat and watched and waited to see if I needed her. It was just the best thing ever. And apparently, I swatted my husband's hand away when he tried to help me pull the baby up. Swatted his hand away.
Is that on video somewhere?
I don't think I have it on video because I didn't even know I did it. My friend didn't know I did it, but he told me that I swatted him away and said, "Oh, this is my baby. Um,
Don't touch my baby.
don't touch my baby." But yeah, I pulled him up out of the water, and I mean, there's nothing like that moment. And we just like soaked him in, soaked the baby in. We didn't know if it was a boy or girl yet. And then, a few minutes later, I was like, "Are you ready?" And we looked down. I've also never been the one to actually be the first to see baby's gender or like announce it. We've had 3 surprise gender births now. So that was really fun to be the one, like literally no one had seen or known. And I looked down and announced to the room, "It's a boy. It's our shepherd." We had his name picked out. So we told everybody shepherd. And it was great. My boys were crying. Vaughn was crying. I was crying. My friends were crying. Like, it was just amazing. And I didn't even mention the Christmas tree was in the corner. And it was just like this magical, perfect setting. And
Christmas tree was in the corner. So it was, and you said it was right after Thanksgiving. So what is his actual birthday?
so December 2nd is his birthday. His due
Oh.
date was November 17th. But we got the Christmas tree up super early just in case. And then he came December 2nd. So he's
Oh.
a little December baby. And it was the most wonderful Christmas and holiday. It was so good.
Well, yeah, just snuggling a baby through the
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
season sounds
It was
perfect.
it was absolutely dreamy. So, yeah, and then no complications afterwards. We had to kinda help the placenta out a little bit, but nothing crazy. My midwives helped me to the bed, made me tea, like all the wonderful home birth things. And my big boys were just so excited. My little ones met him the next morning. But that's the story. That's what happened.
Oh. Was there anything else to your postpartum that you wanted to share?
The immediate postpartum, everything was wonderful and great. I had a little trouble. Just it was I don't know that I'd call it like postpartum depression. I would say it's like was baby blues, but maybe a little worse than that I was dealing with like 2, 3 weeks after he was born. And this was the first time I hadn't made plans to have my placenta encapsulated. And then I started dealing with that. And I decided to try that to try and get my placenta encapsulated and see if it helped. And I was blown away, to be honest. It helped me so much. I could tell a huge difference on the days I would forget to take it. I actually am like just finishing them up, and it's been such a game changer for me. It was so great. And I'm really grateful that the girl who did it for me could get it done really quickly. It was like just overnight and she got them back to me. And yeah, so that was sort of the only hiccup. I think the recovery maybe was a little bit longer this time. I think that probably is just because I have 4 kids. I couldn't rest quite as much as I maybe should have. My husband had 3 weeks off, but I'm older, just all the things like that. It wasn't anything out of the norm, but my bleeding just lasted a little bit longer than I'm used to. So, but otherwise, I mean, all was well. My milk supply was great. He was growing really well. Everything else was good. So we had some friends and family bring us meals and all the things like that. So yeah, it was good. I missed my community in the triad, but it was good. It was good.
We missed you too. We missed being able to come see him right away. I
I
eventually got
know.
over there, but
Yes,
it took a couple months.
that's okay. I mean, you have 5 of your own kids, so that's okay.
Yes. Yes, I do. Okay, you spoke to this a little bit through the episode, but what if you could, reflect back on the entire experience, what do you feel like God taught you the most?
Yeah, I think he was really showing me. I think he was. I did talk about this, but I think he was showing me that he wants us to come to him. And I talked to you about this also, just about some other things going on. Like he wants us to come to him with everything, frustrations, anger, our hopes, our desires, like all the things. Like he's not afraid of our emotions, and he wants to give us the desires of our heart. And I think I always just kind of like, I was like, yeah, okay, he wants to give us the desires of our heart, but he just really he really did that for me in this birth. And I don't know. I think it just really showed me like I need to talk to him. I need to pray to him and come to him with all the things that are going on in my life, even if they feel like, oh, that's such a small thing. He wants to be there in the big things and the small things. So I think that, and just the way that gratefulness, like the gratitude, changed everything for me. I had heard on the Christian hypnobirthing app, it was something about how gratitude is the opposite of fear, and fear is what causes pain in birth. And that was like sort of the first like light bulb moment for me of wanting to really like focus on that and lean into that. And it just made, I mean, it made the biggest difference in my pregnancy and in my birth, and even in my postpartum and my day to day. Like it can get really mundane and you can get really bogged down in the day to day of motherhood, but when you kind of switch it up and focus on the things you have and the things to be grateful for, I mean, I know this isn't like some novel idea, but it just makes such a big difference. And yeah, I think those were the lessons that he taught me for sure.
That's beautiful. And always a timely reminder because yes, it's simple, but it's not something that we always remember to do. But
Right.
that makes such a big difference.
It really does. Yeah.
Any last advice for the mamas out there or the dads? We have some dads who listen to this too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think as far as if you're pregnant and you're planning, I mean, any kind of birth, but if you're planning to give birth soon, I think the visualization piece for me was amazing this time around. Focusing on, I mean, obviously the physical preparation, learning about birth, like all those things are great. But for me, this time, being a fifth time mom, fourth home birth, like I didn't need to prep as far as like, what does early labor look like? What does my birth bag need to have? Like, I didn't need that kind of preparation. I needed the physical, emotional prep. And having those like really prayerful visualization, like intentional times in my pregnancy where I was focusing on that was really special, and it was really cool to see how God showed up and gave me those things that I was wanting, and I think that it's not even that I was, like, asking for things and he said yes and gave them to me. I think what it was is because I try to be really prayerful about it, I think he was showing me the things that were going to come, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think trying to visualize your birth, trying to think through all the details and the things that you want, and it's good for you just to be prepared and just being prayerful and asking the Lord to come into that and be part of it with you. That was huge for me. So I highly recommend that. And I also highly, highly recommend the Christian Hypnobirthing app. It was so great. I loved listening to that in my pregnancy and during labor. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've been at many a birth where my clients are playing that in the background and the light is dim and the room is warm and and I just feel like I'm like everyone in the room is like falling asleep.
I
Like,
know.
because they're
It's
so
so
relaxed.
calming. That woman's voice is so calming.
Yeah.
It's so great. But the scriptures are just it's just really beautiful. I just love it. So,
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming on. I was glad to hear. I mean, I did read his story on your Instagram, but it's
yeah.
different when you can hear the person's voice and when you can hear them like share the details themselves. It always makes it, I feel like, more impactful to have all that extra context.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun to come back on, and I don't think I'll have any more birth stories to tell you, but we will see what the Lord has in store for us.
Right. We didn't think you'd have this one.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. You can reach me at Surrendered Birth Services on Instagram or email me at contact@surrenderedbirthservices.com. Be sure not to miss an episode by hitting the follow button. Also, we'd love for you to leave a written review of the show so that more people's births and lives can be changed by the love of Jesus and the empowerment of accurate birth education. If you really enjoyed this episode in particular, please take a screenshot of it and post it to your Instagram story, tagging Surrendered Birth Services. If you would like to be a guest on the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, please click the link in the episode show notes to fill out your interest form. Also, if you're interested in taking my childbirth classes, birth consultations, or having me as your birth doula, please click on the link in the show notes to take you to my website for online and in-person options. Just as a reminder, this show is not giving medical advice, so please continue to see your personal care provider as needs arise. We hope you have a great week, and remember, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands.
You are never this loud.
He's like, but I'm on camera, Mom. I have to be this loud.
We're on a podcast. I gotta talk.